Hi everybody, it's Marcy, and I want to work a little bit on my 3 items using magazine for Dear Julie Julie's July Just Journal Challenge. And I'm going to jump right in. Here I've got one of the little tickets I had used in my 100 subscriber drawing, and I'm just going to take a little bit of my bundled sage distress oxide and give this a little color. I'm not going to be using the whole ticket. But give that a little color. Okay. So that was easy enough. And I used the brush instead of the a sponge or anything because you're allowed 1 brush or sponge for each ink. So I know I will want that later for stenciling. Okay. So I'm going to let that sit and dry for a moment. What I'm going to do for this one is I've got one of my printer test sheets. I've got a bunch of these. Last month I was having some trouble. I think it was actually with the ink cartridges that I had, but whatever the reason, I ended up printing a bunch of those. Okay, so, and I'm just going to glue this down. That will be journaling space. This page came from my magazine. I tend to use this magazine a good bit, Missouri Conservationist, and this time it just happened to have large spreads about swallowtail butterflies. So, let's get that glued so it can start drying. I'm not personally a huge fan of the Tombow Mono Aqua, although I believe there are other formulas of the Tombow that I probably ought to try. This is just a little thinner glue than I would like to have, but I do like, well, with this one it has the brush tip and the narrow tip, and that can be very helpful. And it does give you a minute to adjust things, where my art glitter glue, it's kind of a one and done kind of thing. But like I said, it's a little thin for my liking. Okay, let's get that squared up on there as best we can, and grab one of my old rewards, or what was this one? This one was a gift card. My husband gets these from his work, like for his birthday and other various things. They give him little gift cards, which is great for me. Then he spends them and I get the card. But I want to squish out as much as possible, because I really don't like having bumps. Okay. And I really did not want to do that yet. I got ahead of myself. That'll work. Okay. So I'm going to leave that. The rest of it is fine, but I need to leave that edge. Okay. So now I'm just going to take this ticket. Cut off that end. All I really want is the numbers. And I'm going to, I've got a teeny tiny little brad here. Pull out my old phone book. Okay, somewhere I pulled out my binding needle. There's my brad. This is what I get for working with teeny tiny stuff. Okay, so I just want normally I would use a little thumbtack for this, but oh, I did get it through. But I don't, my binding needle, I can use, I'll be using to bind with, and that's allowed. Where the thumbtack, but I'm going to want to use my awl for the binding, since it's hardcover. And okay, so now put that thumbtack through. And basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a closure. Now, I've only got it through the magazine because I want it hidden under the rest of the copy paper, which is why I say I got ahead of myself. Now, what I want to do, so I'm done with that ticket. Okay. With these, I want to make a hidden paper clip. And this is, I thought this image from the magazine was absolutely gorgeous. And then this image is from the book I'm using, and I thought that would go well on the other side. Now, there are videos for making these hidden paper clips, and I will tell you how I've done this one. This is not necessarily the way they're recommended to be done, but or the way most videos, but this will work. This way will work for what I want to do. Because these papers are so light, I needed something to back them with. And what I'm using for my backing is part of this, which I believe is just the back off of an inexpensive scrapbook pad. So I'm using that for my paperclip base. And I've got one piece of it cut to 8 inches long by, this is just under 2.5 inches wide. And this one is cut to 10 inches long by about 3 7/8 inches wide. And they're each folded in half. And On the big one, and I've already started it, normally I would use a craft knife to do this, but again, tools are limited. So I'm going to make a slit in the top of this where my paper clip can go through, and you want it to be roughly in the center. But I want my paper clip to be able to poke through that. Okay, so that'll work. It's not exactly center, but it's good enough. And like I said, it's much easier to use a craft knife or something to do this. But what we're going to do is we're going to put the paper clip over the small one, and then ultimately we're going to put it under here. With the paper clip peeking through at the end, you can attach a ribbon to it or something. And then we'll be gluing this to the other piece of paper, or the other piece of cardboard. Okay, but first, before I do that, I need to, because these are so thin, I want to go ahead and mount them to the piece of cardboard. Now, okay, so I found a brush. This is a big brush, but it'll be all right. I'm going to just kind of dust the edges. Okay, now I want to glue down one image on each of the panels. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, just like with this one, because I'm using such a wet glue, I want those to dry completely. And so now would be a good time for me to run to my vet's office. I've got to pick up some medicine for my puppy, for my dog, not a puppy. He's getting to be an old man. And then that'll give my glue time to dry, and I will go ahead and stitch around the edges on that. And probably, I think, just for a little added texture, I will stitch around the edges on each of these images as well. Okay, my magazine pages and stuff have dried, so now I'm ready to, and I did indeed stitch around all the edges, and now I'm ready to put my hidden paper clip together. So like I said, I'm taking my smaller piece, putting the paper clip over it, but leaving 1/4 inch or so, and that will go through the little slit that I made. And I know several people have done this. I learned this from Gail Augustinelli, who got it from someone else, so on and so forth. Okay, so now I'm going to take my Fabri-Tac and I'm using Fabri-Tac just because it grabs quickly and dries pretty quickly. And I'm going to go all around my paper clip because I want to be sure that it's glued in well. And I'm going to go over my whole smaller piece of cardstock. And I'm kind of using the tip to help move some of the glue around. All right. And then I'm going to fold this over. I want the smaller piece to attach to the larger piece. And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Again, using the tip to kind of move the glue around so I can get it close to the edges without adding a lot more glue. Okay. And then I'm going to fold that down. I want to smush them down real good. But I also don't want glue ooze. That's why I was trying to move it around. And go in to the center. I don't know if you can see it, but now my paper clip is encased between the two pieces of cardstock. And I don't appear to have any glue ooze. So I'll let that dry and then I'll show you how I'd use that over a page. So while that's drying, I'm going to move on to this one that I also stitched around completely. We'd already put the little brad with the ticket, which will act as a closure. And what I'm going to do, I noticed when I cut out this, but when I folded it this way into sort of a wardrobe, while the stuff doesn't line up perfectly, it actually lines up very well. And so I thought, okay, yeah, I'm going to make a sort of a wardrobe type journaling card out of that. So I want to get my edges lined up as straight as possible. And fold them down. I'm going to use, I haven't pulled in my bone folder yet, which is killing me. So I'm just going to use the handle on my scissors to kind of fold those down. And then that little, just that tiny edge of ticket creates a closure. So you fold it up and you've got some journaling space there. Now let's add a little something to the inside of that, just to give the inside a little bit of interest. So I've just got one of my flower stamps here. And put that on that bottom edge. Now I'm grabbing one of my little butterfly stamps. And we'll just have this little guy coming in from this edge. As if he's flying toward the flower. So now we've got a little bit of interest. All right. So there's 2 of the 3. So I've got the little wardrobe, I've got the hidden paperclip, and now I've got this butterfly that's laying eggs that was encapsulated in this circle, and I glued it down last night as I was looking at stuff. This is more of that turkey burger box that I had peeled apart, or peeled the top layer off, the glossy layer. And I think I'm using a 2-inch punch. And I'm going to try there to punch that. So I like that. So let's give it just a bit of a dried marigold edge. Like that. And then all I'm going to do with this, very simply, is make it become a little charm. So I've got my crocodile. Punch that little hole and put in a little eyelet. Squish it down. And now I'm just going to put a little bulb pin through it. And just that quickly, I've got a little charm that I can put on the edge of a page or something like that. I may come back and put some glossy accents on this, but that would count as one of my 5 items, so I don't want to do that until I know that I'm going to have room to add that in. And if I don't have room or decide against it, even so, you've got a cute little charm there that can just dangle off the edge of a page. So there's my 3 magazine items. I've got my little wardrobe, I've got my hidden paperclip, and I've got a little charm. So that's it for now, everyone. Please be safe, stay healthy, happy crafting, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.